Welcome to Crocodile MTG, your home of competitive, constructed play in the modern, standard, and legacy formats. Today's video was brought to you by the wonderful supporters over at Patreon. Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jordan with Crocodile MTG, bringing you another Magic the Gathering video. Today we're playing Mono Red Prison in Legacy. We have a Chalice of the Void on 1 and potentially a Trinisphere on turn 2. So I think this hand is good enough to keep it. We don't have a red source of mana though, which is a little awkward. But we'll see here if that affects us. Our opponent leads with a turn 1 Mountain. So now I'm wondering if it's just Magus of the Moon. Alright, so we're going to lead with Magus. We'll see if our opponent is affected by this at all. I feel like it's a mirror match, potentially. If it is a mirror match, it might be burn, actually. I didn't think of that. So we're going to draw. Alright, we're going to play out the City of Traders, and we're going to attack first before we make any other decisions. I'm going to play this Chalice on 1. And next turn we can play another Magus. I'm not 100% what we're playing against. I feel like it's just potentially the mirror match, though. And maybe their lands just aren't working out for them. If they don't have the fast mana, they're playing... Okay, so there's the City of Traders. So this does look like a mirror match. They're going to play out Rabble Master here, which is fine. They're going to swing in. I'm going to play out this other Magus of the Moon. That way we have a blocker for the Rabble Master and the tokens. Alright, Trinisphere here. Again, these aren't going to do anything. So I'm just going to play out the Magus here and pass the turn back. I think the mirror match is the one match I wish we had Karn instead of Chandra. We're playing 4 Chandras, and I don't know if that's necessarily right, but we'll see here. Alright, so our opponent's going to make a bunch of tokens. They're going to swing in here. We'll see if they swing with Rabble Master or not. Alright, they choose to swing with Rabble Master. I'm a little surprised if they do, because we can just block Rabble Master here. Alright, so we're going to block. And we're going to block a token. Yeah, Rabble Master doesn't get a boost in the defense. It just gets a boost in their attack power. Alright, we'll see what we draw here. Blood Moon. Alright, so I guess I'm going to play out a Trinisphere just so our opponent can't play any fast mana sources, but like, we're not in a bad spot here. Our opponent's a little more aggressive than us currently, but like, if they attack in with Legion Warboss here, we're just going to block. And then if we draw a land off the top and they're, you know, swinging in with their 4 points of Goblin. Alright, another Legion Warboss. So that makes this Fiery Confluence more attractive if we draw a land. Alright, so we're going to block this Legion Warboss. Actually, do we want to? I just realized that if we lose Magus, yeah, we probably want to. If we lose Magus, we lose our city. Our city of traders ends up potentially dying, but all right. If we don't draw a land here, we're just gonna play out Trinisphere. If we do draw a land, then yeah, Ensnaring Bridge is fine. If these games come down to a Chandra, then you know it's not great, but alright, so we drew a War Boss of our own. But I think the play is still... Actually, do we just play the War Boss out? And then trades with their War Boss, I guess. And then we have a token around for the following turn. Yeah, we're not in a great spot, but this at least gives us the lands. So we are falling to 3, I think, this turn. And that's only if he attacks with the War Boss. If he leaves the War Boss around, we're not in a good position. And our opponent just has a ton of mana. What's really hurting us here is not having another mountain. Alright, so our War Boss is going to trade with theirs, but it's game over if we don't find a mountain next turn. And again, if they have a Chandra in hand too, I think it's just game over for us. We'll see what they play here. Alright, they have Karn. Yeah, Karn's really good. Again, I think Karn might be the card we're missing that we really want to have. Alright, they make a construct, so we have the potential to kill the board here. And it all comes down if we draw a land or not. So here we go. Once we get to our turn. Alright, so they played Chalice for 0, which is fine. And... oh my gosh, we got punished by the Chalice for 0. So I guess that wasn't fine there. Yeah, I guess we're just dead. I was hoping to find a mountain off the top, but again, that Lotus Petal, that would have got us there had our opponent not played it for 0. That was smart on our opponent. And now we're dead. Alright, so game number 2, I'm going to play this a lot better. Our opponent's running main decks and Ensnaring Bridges, which we might... I don't know if this deck is 100% the best deck to be, or the best version of this deck to be running. I think Karn, I think if I was to run this deck back, I would cut Hazaret and Chandra, and I think I would play 2 Karns there. And I also think we should be playing the Ensnaring Bridges main board, so like Trinisphere. Alright, Trinisphere actually comes out in this matchup. I guess I should think about this matchup first and then go. I think Kozilek's Return comes in. I think a Braid comes in. Alright, I don't think we need Chalice of the Void. I think Chalice, I don't know, a couple of Chalices might be okay. I think we should actually cut maybe the Lotus Petals. We're on the play, so we don't want to cut the Lotus Petals. On the draw, we might want to cut the Lotus Petals. This is just instant sorcery, right? Non-creature spell. So we might want to bring in the Scab Clan Berserkers. Again, I think it's just about having more threats than your opponent. Magus doesn't do as much here, so I think I'd want that over Magus. And... or maybe I want the Magus and not the Blood Moon. Yeah, I could see cutting it like that. Again, it kind of sucks we don't have Karn and we don't have more ensnaring bridges, but I think this is okay. I think we want to be the aggressor in this matchup. I could see even potentially playing this over like a Magus of the Moon and a Blood Moon. Just bringing in more threats. There's only a 3-2, but could be good. Yes, I'd like to play first. We have nothing. We can play turn 1. I think I'm going to take 1 mulligan on this. Alright, Ancient Tomb, Chalice City. I think this is okay. This isn't great. Scab Clan's good. I'm going to play Chalice on 0. And I'm just going to play a Mountain and pass. And then I can play Mountain. And then I can play Ancient Tomb, Chandra. And hopefully they just don't have a bunch of turn 1 threats. Again, this is the spot where I'm kind of iffy on whether or not we should have kept this hand. Our hand didn't really have a lot of action in it, but I was really hesitant to mull to 5 because if we don't find what we're looking for, then mulliganing the 4 is just really hard. And it's really easy for our opponent to get ahead on the board. All right, so they're going to Ancient Tomb. They're going to Spyglass. So they're actually going to take out... Again, this is another reason I don't like having 4 of the same Planeswalkers is because things like Pithing Needle and Sorcerer's Spyglass kind of take out. So I think we might end up not winning this game because of this as well. And we don't have... I guess we have Fiery Confluence to take out our opponent's Spyglass, but... we'll pass the turn back, see if our opponent has anything. It'd be nice if our opponent didn't have any colored spells, because then we'd be able to we will be able to get ahead with this Scab Clan Berserker. But alright, so it's likely our opponent has a colored threat here. And our opponent taking their time on their decision here. Alright, and they're going to play a War Boss out here. So I think we still attack with the Scab Clan Berserker next turn. I don't think our opponent's going to block with their Legion War Boss. Sorry guys, I had to check on something. Alright, so we're going to okay this. Our opponent gets in. Alright, another Chandra off the top is actually really bad for us. So we're just going to play out this Scab Clan and swing in. I want to avoid taking damage. That's why I didn't play the Ancient Tomb, because we are behind on board. If this Scab Clan connects, then, you know, I think we're going to regain being ahead, because anything our opponent plays at this point... Is Sorcerer just our opponent? Alright, so Sorcerer Spyglass does take out their opponent's Chandras as well. So now we can keep this Scab Clan back as a blocker for the goblins if we need, or we can just keep being aggressive. It's a 3/3 now, so potentially anything they play, it doesn't block really well. And anything they play that's a non-creature spell at that point deals 2 to them. So I think with that being said, I think we just want to be aggressive. Our opponent can hold back this goblin token if they want. They have to swing with the one they make. We'll see what our opponent's play is here. They also have Ancient Tomb, which they don't want to be taking too many hits off of that either. Alright, so they're going to just race us here. Which, I mean, this is a good card to race. They're hitting us for 5 here and 7 next turn. So we have to find something good off the top here. Another City of the Traders is not that great. So if we hit them to 11, I think we kind of want to play defensive here. You know, having 2 Chandras in hand, that's not great. And we really don't have any other threats. And we'll see what our opponent has here. They might just have an Abrade or something, and that kind of sucks if they do. I might just want to be playing these Chandras just in case we draw something like a Fiery Confluence. Alright, Simian Spirit Guide exiled here. Alright, they brought in their Sulfur Elementals as well, which are fine. So our opponent might get the game here. I'm really hoping we draw Fiery Confluence here, but alright, our opponent swinging in with the team. We're going to block with this Legion War Boss, and we're going to take 8. Again, we're not in a good spot here. The other thing that buys us a lot of time is Culligan's. Culligan's Return. I think that's the card. If our opponent just has Fiery Confluence here, we just die. Alright, they have City of Traders, and now they have a bunch of mana. And Snaring Bridge from our opponent. Okay. So now I actually can't attack with this Scab Clan. Alright, Magus of the Moon. Do I actually want to play that? Probably. It's another blocker. And then I'm going to play down this City of Traders. Alright, we'll see what our opponent has. This Magus is purely going to be a blocker. I'll probably block the Sulfur Elemental with it. And if our opponent has, I think, anything here, we pretty much just die. Alright, so our opponent's going to hit us to 3 here. We're going to block like this. I don't know if we're going to make it through this league, guys. Our opponent debating what they're going to play, second main phase. We really need an Abrade off the top, I think, would be pretty good. Alright, Kozilek's return. Interesting choice here from our opponent. But they might have a follow-up creature. Alright, we'll see what our opponent has here. Alright, Fiery Confluence is actually very good. So we're going to start with this Chandra. And we can't actually use Chandra, and I'm aware of that. What we're going to do is we're going to wait till next turn, and we're going to Fiery Confluence away whatever he plays, and hopefully we don't die to whatever he plays. And then we're going to take out Sorcerer's Spyglass. Alright, so our opponent plays a Rabble Master, which again, this is fine because we have the Fiery Confluence. Alright, we get hit down to 2. Alright, we might stabilize here. Hopefully we do. We do have our back against the wall, though. So it's all going to come down to what our opponent finds. Alright, we found a Legion War Boss, so we're probably going to play that. So I'm going to deal 2 damage to each creature and destroy 1 target artifact. And we're going to destroy the Sorcerer's Spyglass. And then we're going to plus Chandra, making 2 mana, and take out or play this Legion War Boss. Alright, the tides have turned slightly. So we got to see what our opponent does here. Putting pressure on our opponent. We have a Chalice on 0, which doesn't really matter, I don't think. The important part is we have some blockers, and we have the Chandra. So we can hit them for 4 next turn, put them down to 5. And then Chandra plus, Chandra plus. I guess it all depends on what our opponent plays. Alright, they're going to play a Blood Moon. And now they have a Spyglass, so they're going to... Yeah, they're going to name Chandra again. Alright. So our opponent again they're back against the wall. We're going to get in for 2. All right, Hazoret was an excellent draw here. Hazoret can't attack, but it can get around Chalice. All right, so we're going to make a goblin, swing in with 2 goblins. All right, we might be able to win it off this Hazoret. Hazoret can't attack, but it can block. And our opponent's own Snaring Bridge might be keeping them alive, but it might also be killing them, depending on what they find. Almost anything kills us. Now, they don't have their own Chandra that activate because of the Spyglass. Alright, another Ensnaring Bridge from our opponent. We're going to hit them down to 2. Alright, let me think this through. Abrade, pitch, hit. Yeah, that's going to work. Alright, so we're going to win this turn. We're going to get in for 3. Alright. So we are going to get the win. We got kind of lucky here. So we're going to Abrade the Sorcerer Spyglass, tick up Chandra, not play another Chandra, and now we're going to pitch this Chandra. So we went off the back of pitching 2 Chandras to our cards, and we're going to go back to the board, to sideboard. I think we want these Lotus Petals out. I think this Magus can come back in. I don't think the Blood Moon's that important. Chalice I don't think is going to become that important. I don't think we have anything better. I think I'd rather want the Lotus Petal than the... Actually, I think I want 2 Lotus Petals. I don't think I want to play Chalice here. I just don't think there's any benefit to it. I'd rather have our opponent not have a Chalice on 0 and we have a bunch of Lotuses and Chrome Mox in our opening hand than I would vice versa. Like if we had a bunch of Chalices and not enough of anything else. So we're going to have the Chrome Mox and Lotus Petal in hand. And we'll see if our opponent is going to be able to... We'll see what our opponent's going to be able to do. It's kind of difficult in the mirror match what's right and what's wrong. I think Chalice on 0 is really good if we're on the play. I think if... Magus is just another threat. Maybe I want to cut one of these Chandras and just keep another Chalice in case we can Chalice on 2. I think that's pretty good to avoid cards like Spyglass. Alright, so our opponent's going to be on the play. And we have a decent and keepable opening hand. So we're going to keep this. We're going to Legion Warboss on 1, possibly Chrome Mox, and then Chalice on 0. So we're going to keep this hand. We'll see what our opponent has here. Our opponent with the mulligan down to 6. I think if our opponent plays Chrome Mox, and maybe we want to wait. Alright, so our opponent mulligans down to 5. We could potentially get lucky here. I think we got lucky last turn drawing that Abrade. I think that was the exact card we needed. Alright, and our opponent keeps 5. We'll see if they have a turn 1 play. Alright, they start with Mountain. And they pass the turn back. Alright, this is pretty good for us. So we're going to start with Chrome Mox. And we're going to take one of these Simian Spirit Guides. Then we're going to play Ancient Tomb. Then we're going to play out this War Boss and play Chalice for 0. Alright, we're going to pass back. We're going to swing in with our Goblin. And the pressure is on for our opponent. Hopefully they don't have a turn 2 play, and we can just get ahead on this board. If they don't have the fast mana, I could see playing the Magus next turn. If they do, then I might just play the Simian. We might get the game here. Our opponent is also down to 7 minutes on the clock. I don't think that's going to matter with how fast our hand is, but it could if they find a removal spell for some of these threats. Alright, so our opponent has the fast mana. Alright, they have the Abrade, and they're going to actually Abrade the Chalice on 0, which is a little interesting. So if our opponent has Chrome Mox or Lotus, see, that's why I keep in, some number of the Chalices against the mirror match, because if we're able to play our Chrome Mox and stop our opponent from playing theirs, I think that's just a lot of card advantage. So they actually exile like Pia, Kira, and Alar. And our opponent has 1 card in hand. So I'm going to just play Magus next turn. Hopefully, they're going to have 3 mana, but hopefully they don't find 4. Depending on what we draw, of course. Alright, so I'm going to cast this Lotus Petal. Yeah, I'm just going to take the 2. Play out Magus. Swing with everything. Mentor this. And now hopefully we can just keep our opponent from being able to kill us. Our opponent can easily find a Kozilek's Return or an Ensnaring Bridge. That works as well. Oh, our opponent is very lucky. I actually probably shouldn't have played that, just in case our opponent finds a Kozilek's Return. I'm hoping they just have a 4-drop stuck in their hand. It'd be really nice if they have 2 4-drops now stuck in their hand. Our opponent has, in the past couple games, thought about their plays, though. I don't think they've necessarily made any misplays, but... Alright, another Ensnaring Bridge. So now we're going to hit our opponent down to 9. Alright, and again, I'm hoping our opponent just gets a couple cards stuck in their hand. Alright, Scab Clan from our opponent. It's going to serve as a blocker, but we're going to be hitting for 3 each turn. Alright, Chalice. We probably play Chalice on 2. Keep our opponent off of... Alright, now we're going to swing in for 3. If we draw Chandra here, is why I play the Chalice on 2, because I don't want them to be able to Spyglass us again. Our opponent with 4 minutes left on the clock. Alright, they play a Magus. So, that's weird. Our opponent either had Magus in hand. Alright. So our opponent stabilizes. We're also going to play an Ensnaring Bridge of our own, so we can kind of control the board stayed a little bit. Alright, that's fine. This is a little bit odd of a board state, but alright, so I guess I play the land here. I'm going to keep the Simian in hand just in case our opponent... Alright, they're going to play out the Chrome Mox. If we find an Abrade or a Fiery Confluence, it's just game over, I think. There's a Kozilek's Return, so we're going to keep that as well as kind of collateral for this board. Alright, there's a Chandra from our opponent. Yeah, they're probably just going to start ticking up and hitting us for 2. That's fine. Alright, there's a Scab Clan. Again, we really need to find... Sulfur Vortex, okay. I was going to say, is our opponent going to play that? Because that kills them, I think, faster than it kills me. Alright, there's a Chandra of our own. So now the race is on. Ah, there's the Fiery Confluence. And we're 1 short from actually casting it. That's unfortunate. Alright, so our opponent... We have pressure on our opponent. We were 1 short from casting that. Alright, they just find an Ancient Tomb. Another Ensnaring Bridge from our opponent. Ugh. Alright, so our Chandra's live now, though. But the scary thing is, from our opponent, they can ultimate their Chandra next turn. Alright, we're going to play out this mountain. We'll see what we find off the top. The Legion War Boss, no. So our opponent dies next turn, but we could potentially also die next turn. This is a very close game. They need to find their own Fiery Confluence. They have to ultimate Chandra, play a Fiery Confluence, and we die. If that's not it, they die. That's a Blood Moon. That's not a Fiery Confluence. Alright, I think we got it. Oh my goodness. What a hard-fought match. Kozilek's Return, the board, and plus for Chandra. And no, I don't want to play that, and good game, opponent. Thank you so much for watching. Please go hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed today's video. For your custom playmats, mouse pads, and more, head over to Inked Gaming. Use promo code crocodilemtg10 to receive 10% off your order. Today's video was brought to you by the wonderful supporters over at Patreon.